All right, we look nice and live there. Okay, now let's go Periscope and shake our money makers. Yeah, I think we're live here. All right,
we're live.
Baby.
Live, baby. Let's do this shit. You guys ready?
Let's soak this Sunday, baby. Welcome.
It is not 6 feet away.
My ass was right by our faces
I
are
mean,
6 feet apart. You can see that right here.
And if we learned anything, it's the booty is where all the bad things are.
That's right. My booty's clean, all right? I got the cleanest booty there ever was. Oh, by the way, welcome to Sunday Soap.
He takes all of his COVID tests rectum.
Today's humble brag is that Teresi made it to 40 years old. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Teresi.
Thank you. As about 15 minutes ago, I've survived 40 years on this planet. And if I can do that, you motherfuckers can do anything you want.
Show you're right. Show you're right with that. Cheers. As always, we are powered by Goose Island. We got the next coast. We got the heater, baby. Cheers. Woo. Hit this right here.
Can't wait to get responsibly drunk on the next Coast IPA.
As usual, this will be an all questions show. And we'll start off with best friend of the show, Aloha Mr. Hand. He says, since Teresi is 40 going on 90, what item from his bucket list would he like to accomplish in the next year?
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm trying to think what I might be able to do in the next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be able to travel. So maybe I'll hit up another continent. I've made it down to Central America, but not South America. So maybe I'll get South America off the list this coming year. We'll see how that goes. Gotta go have some wine in
I do. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. We'll go to Argentina and drink some wine. That's tremendous, right?
And some steaks.
That's a steak.
Tango La Sur has taught me anything. I got some steaks down there.
That's right. All right. The next question is from Sean Jankowski. He says, what's your favorite thing you have done in the first 40 years of your life? I think we can all answer this.
I'll let you guys go first.
Why don't you go first when I start something?
I'll go first. I'm going to say that we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to eliminate the canned answers. That is, the day I got married. Okay, that's gone.
Yep.
Okay, for me and you, Lo, the day of my kids were born.
They're
Gone.
I agree.
Okay?
You got to kick that out.
All that shit's gone.
Yep.
And one of my favorite things that I have done, I would say recently, of all time, we went to Vegas for the year 2000 when everything was going to blow up.
Yeah.
Like, some of you kids don't understand, but 20 years ago, we thought that we were going to lose our lives. When the clock rolled over, like everything was just going to end.
It was over, right?
It was done because we'd only program computers to be, 2 dates, right? So it's going to fuck everything up, or 2 numbers, right? 2 numerals. So me and my buddies decided, hey, if the whole place is going up in flames, we're going to fucking Vegas because it'll at least be fun while we're dying. So yeah, Vegas. We stayed off the strip for 10 days around for the 2000 New Year's.
Vegas is a tremendous idea for that because, like, if all the lights and shit went out, you got an Ocean's 11 situation.
Yeah, everything.
Start clearing shit up. Speaking of that, because Dr. Feelgood's actually here. He's just off camera. He came to us.
That's right. He's hanging out here. Yep.
We actually spent that New Year's by him.
Yes.
And because he's way smarter than all of us, he figured out a way to turn off all the fucking lights in his whole electricity in his apartment at once. And at midnight, he had disappeared and all the fucking lights went out.
Yeah, he scared the shit out of 50 people that were at his house for a party. An all-time moment for sure.
I didn't even have a cell phone in 2000. And like everyone was worried. It was just a weird time.
Tracy, how about you?
Not as weird as 20 years ago.
How about you? First 40 years of your life.
Yeah, so this is so I think most of the times the best things that I feel I've done were when I had little to no money and decided, fuck it, let's go for it, let's do this. So one of those was the Sox playoff game. I'm not going to use that.
Okay.
This was a fucking while ago, and I can't remember the year, but I know I was broke as fuck. And me and Beeflo decided, you know what? We don't get to do a lot of shit like this. We never got to do shit like this as a kid. And our parents really that didn't get to spend a lot of money on like things just for themselves. So we bought them tickets and we went with them to go see the Rolling Stones in Comiskey Park.
Yeah, that was cool.
And that shit was awesome. That was a once in a lifetime thing to do with our folks, and I will put that as my favorite thing in the first 40 years.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. It's kind of funny. I'm gonna also entangle mom and dad with this. I don't know if a lot of you know, but I played basketball at De La Salle way back in the day.
Never heard that.
You may have never heard of that. Okay. But probably one of my proudest moments was making it through all that shit, getting to senior night, and being able to bring mom and dad out into the basketball court and get a big round of applause because all the seniors, you got to bring your parents out there and everything. And if you were a scrub senior like me, I started that game too, and I had 6 points in the first quarter. I had a nice little showing. So it was a really like fun, proud last moment because I was not a guy who was recruited to play ball. Yes, Catholic schools do recruit athletes. I was not one of those people. I happened to make it all the way through, and so it was really cool that all the sacrifices mom and dad made to allow all that shit to happen, they got a chance to get everyone cheer for them in front of the whole crowd. So that was cool. I really loved that.
Good stuff. I love my family too. I just don't have a best day in my life.
All right, next question is from Luis Roberts Butt Cheeks. And Luis Roberts Butt Cheeks wants to know, which White Sox player do you think smells the best? Can I go first?
Yes.
Okay. I think there's something to do with catcher framing where the catcher, if they smell really good, they get extra calls. So I'll go Yasmani Grandal. I bet he smells impeccable.
That's a good call. I saw someone who smells the best.
I mean, listen, I think Yaz probably smells decent, right? And like he has to, right? So I'm just thinking guys that don't have to smell good that probably smell good. Makata probably smells delicious. Like he probably like it's probably like a mix of fabric softener and like a really nice cologne. Like that's what I think. That's what I feel Makata smells.
So at first I was thinking Dallas Keuchel because I look at his beard and I think that he smells of rich mahogany.
Yeah,
you know, like a really beautiful,
That's earthy
tone to him. But the guy that I'm thinking of is actually if I smell really good, right? Like if I like right now, if I smelled really good and I was gonna go out for the rest of the day, you know what I'd do with my shirt? I'd leave that whole fucking thing wide open. So I would say Eloy probably smells the best because he's the one trying to exude that scent across the whole diamond. So like I'm gonna go with him.
Do you feel like
fucking solid.
him doing this, like he keeps going down one more button and Jose goes down a button? Are they just trying to show each other up?
I think so.
Like how long till they say you need to button your jersey?
No,
Like
I
is
think
he just gonna have one open and we're gonna be seeing belly button? And then like they're like, hey, you know what? You need to button your jerseys, guys.
What if they're fully buttoned today and you realize that what they're doing is every time they win, they peel a section.
All right, the next question is from White Sox Sal.
Hey, go fuck yourself, Sal.
Yes, and he wants to know, this is Seinfeld theme. He says, which song is your Desperado? And for those who aren't Seinfeld fans, Desperado was the favorite song of one of Elaine's boyfriends, and every time it came on, they had to sit in silence and listen to it.
Yeah, so I actually have two. One is incredibly sad, so I'll just say it really quick, but it's a song called Ambulance Driver by Supertramp. You could go listen to it, and you could probably figure out why it would be a song like that. But the other one is more fun, and I absolutely stop everything I'm doing whenever I hear this song, whether we're at a bar or whether we're watching something on TV or whatever we're doing. But it is Eddie Murphy's Party All the Time.
I mean, I don't know how you follow that. I'm gonna go with Jane's Addiction, Classic Girl. It's probably my song that like I have to like I will stop and listen to every ounce of that. I'd even double down and say I would listen to the entire album if it starts. So
Wow,
I love
that's
Classic
something.
Girl. Probably one of my
Which
favorites.
is it on Ritual or?
Yeah, that's on Ritual. Yeah.
For me, I think it changes all the time, but as of right now, it's probably Touch the Sky by Kanye West. It's just a fun song, and that would be my song to come up to batting if I would come up to hit.
Presidential candidate Kanye West.
Presidential candidate Kanye West. That's right.
Former
Absolutely
or
right.
current?
Current. I mean, as long
Okay.
as he's alive, it's current.
All right, the next question is from Pilsen Sox, and Pilsen Sox wants to know all-time favorite music venue in the city and your favorite performance at that venue. Treasy, why don't you lead us off, baby?
Yeah, so this music venue unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, but I hear it's reopening in a different location. But that is the Double Door. And my favorite performance, and I've seen a lot of great performances there, though, is Fu Manchu. So they did this like kind of festival of a weekend of shows at Double Door, and Fu Manchu played, and we went to see him. And when they played Godzilla, the place fucking erupted. But I'll say it's Double Door because I mean I've seen a lot of great shows in a lot of other great venues in the city. Metro, I've seen a shitload there, and those were always great. But Double Door I picked because having gone to just tons of shows there, and also having played shows there, I know that the sound people at Double Door, more than anything, wanted to make every sound, every show, no matter who it was, sound incredible. And they put a lot of work into that. And I've never been to a show that didn't sound good. Like even when we played there, it sounded good, and that was really fucking difficult for someone to do. So I will go with Double Door.
Okay, you go first.
I will take the Metro. I love the Metro. Probably my best place to go see a show, and probably a favorite performance is not something that it's not the best. Not the best. It's not the biggest. We saw James Addiction there not too long ago. That's not it. That was fun, but it wasn't like the favorite one. I saw a double show of Smoking Popes opening for Jawbreaker, and it was Jawbreaker during the Dear You tour, which was their last record. Nobody knows.
No. I love it because one of Kier's questions was, "Is My Suck Summer listening to Jawbreaker?"
Is it really?
I didn't use it.
Oh,
I can assure you that he was.
That's why I didn't use it, because the answer was obviously yes.
So that was probably one of my favorite shows that I saw there, just because it was that was like defining Jawbreaker. That was like depressed Blake, just great music.
I'm also going to go Metro because I think Metro is the place where big acts and small acts all kind of can end up playing there. And it's just a great venue, a terrific place. There's not really any bad vantage points. For me, the best show I saw there was probably Queens of the Stone Age with Dave Grohl on drums.
Oh my God.
Terrific show, packed to the hilt, real sweaty, like club feel, and it was awesome. They just sounded tremendous.
They fit 1,500 people in the Metro for that. It was definitely violating code.
Yeah, if you had to go to the bathroom, you were going to be stuck out in the hallway watching the show that way. Like, you couldn't get all the way back in.
I just pissed myself because I didn't want to miss a second of that show.
All right, next question is from Nasty Dunk. Not Nancy Dunk. Nasty Dunk. And it's for Treasy only. It says, Treasy, who's the most influential bass player for you?
So it's Death from a Wild Stallion. No, it's actually Ben Shepherd from Soundgarden. And I'll tell you why. So there's two things about Ben Shepherd that really are important to me. So one is I was probably like 15 or so. We went to see Soundgarden at the Aragon. We nearly got carjacked before it.
Yes.
I've told that story before.
That's correct.
But the show started, and the way that Soundgarden had set up the stage, they didn't need that whole big Aragon stage because they don't go moving around a whole lot. So they had this like big wall of speakers, and they started playing Spoon Man. And I remember Ben Shepherd come running off. He must have like some kind of ramp or something back there. He came running from backstage and just like jumped across right at the beginning when the bass line starts in Spoon Man. And at that moment, I was like, I'm buying a bass tomorrow, which I did. And then also, he's a guy who was never really afraid to play some chords while he's playing bass, which I always liked. And I think it's underused. I think people are afraid to do it because they think it's putting too much emphasis on bass. And there can never be too much emphasis on bass. That's why I love Primus.
Let me add to this before we move on. After Treasy, I know it's your 40th birthday, but I'm not saying something that nobody knows. After you got fat, you had to get rid of a lot of t-shirts.
Yeah.
And you had a Ben Shepherd t-shirt.
Yes.
And we sold it on eBay for a pretty good amount of money. And the woman got it and wrote me a note and said, hey, this is for my boyfriend. And he went and saw Soundgarden, saw Ben Shepherd play bass, dropped out of college and joined a band. And she bought him this shirt.
Wow.
She didn't say how it worked out, and I didn't want to ask because then I'd be like, oh, well, he works at 7-Eleven now. It's fine. But so, they were able to afford an $80 t-shirt. They're doing all right. This guy jumping across stages and shit really inspired a lot of people.
Hey, it was amazing.
All right, the next question
Is amazing. Sorry.
The next
I
question.
almost killed them all. Don't kill him.
Yeah, really, man. What the hell?
That's your job.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I do. All right, the next question is from Chris McGowan. He wants to know, last week, Stoney talked about his idea of two pitching coaches approach. One would be the mental approach and one would be a mechanical approach. Who would be your ideal two choices for White Sox pitching coaches? Again, he said you don't have to include Cooper, or you can include Cooper if you'd like to.
I'll
You want to start?
I'll just take I'll take the Maddox brothers. I think that's the easiest. Just bring them, but they both have to have mustaches. Like that's
It's
a
not negotiable.
yeah. That's in the contract.
I would obviously keep Don Cooper, but let's make it fun. Let's get John and Jordan Banks in there to be our pitching coaches. I think that'd be fabulous. They seem to be really good decision makers, so I think they would be good at it.
For me, I think I'd go. So obviously, for the mental part, you kind of need a former washed pitcher from the majors to be able to handle all the mental things that's going on. So Cooper's probably fine for that. I actually heard Cooper's kind of like that's his deal, right? He's very on the mental side of the game. He's very strong and helps these guys just think about just throw to the mitt, just stand up straight when you're trying to throw all that shit. Like he simplifies things all the way down.
I absolutely thought you were going to go Wohlers or Hank Hill.
No. So I think Cooper's fine for that side of it. When we're talking about the mechanical shit, I mean, the obvious choices are someone like Kyle Bodie or whatever. You know what? Fuck all that shit. If we're gonna go this way, let's fucking go all the way this way. Give me Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty. Give me a real fucking genius to figure out some shit. Okay, that's where I want to go with this. So you can
implants?
Yeah, exactly. You give me Rick Sanchez and Don together, and then that's the ultimate Stoney two pitching coaches situation.
Man, dancing for Dubs to get Swifty. I can't wait.
All right, the next group of questions are all from one of our closest friends out there in Sox Twitter. That's Josh Nelson, and they are all for Teresi. So we're gonna run through these 4 questions. Number 1 from Josh Nelson. He wants to know, Teresi, are we starting a Mandalorian season 2 podcast?
So, I mean, this is more on Josh than on me because as he's the one who inspired us to start the From the 108 podcast, and he knows that in order to do this, he needs to shame me into it, and then we'll do it. So just get on that, Josh. Shame me into it, and we'll be cool.
All right, sounds good. Question number 2. What's your little brother moment of glory over Beefloaf? I've been eagerly awaiting this answer.
So me and Beefloaf have been friends for most of our lives. I mean, like we weren't like brothers that.
I don't laugh about that. A lot of siblings are not friends.
No,
A lot
like
of
a
siblings are not friends.
lot of kids don't get along.
Yeah.
Like Beefloaf was always kind of the protector, and he was always trying to teach me new things. Like
Right.
if he learned something in school, I knew it later that day.
Like, hey, rub this.
And
Well, some things you can figure out on your own.
and as we got older, it continued, and we play basketball together, we play baseball together, all these different things, and there wasn't really any times where I had a teaching moment or people, right? But as we got older, Beefloaf didn't drink, and I did. So I had when Beefloaf started drinking at 21, I had a good 7-8 years on it. So I taught Beefloaf how to drink. And so it's a rare that a little brother would have to say would be in that position, but that's how it goes. And 108ing exists because I'm that good of a teacher.
That was perfect. That's better than I thought it was going to be. All right. Next question is number 3 from Josh Nelson. He says, when will one of your Nomar Mazara predictions come true?
Probably shortly after I celebrate the James Shields AL Cy Young.
Sounds about right. And then the last one, he says, why is brandy superior to bourbon for an old fashioned?
So there's a little bit of a backstory here. It's probably, I think a lot of you know, Josh is from Wisconsin, and if you've ever been to Wisconsin and ordered an old fashioned, it is not bourbon, it's brandy. And I've had the good fortune of having some of those up in Wisconsin, but also Kroll's, which I heard is closing.
Yeah, I heard that too. That sucks.
It's a Wisconsin bar, but they serve the brandy old fashioned, and we had met Josh there, and he's like, "You guys got to have these." I hadn't had one in a long time, nor had he. And we had them, and they're extremely sweet. But that's why they're superior, and here's why. When you drink a brandy old fashioned, you already know, you can feel that you're going to be hungover. So you are not surprised by the hangover from your old fashions, as opposed to bourbon ones where you're like, I could have 20 of these. These are great. And then you feel awful the next day. With the brandy one, you know, hold on, I've had 2 of these. My head's going to explode. I should probably not have more of this.
So in line with Josh asking these questions, I did go out there in a drunken stupor on Friday night and ask some bigger accounts to ask some questions. So Josh asked some, and we got another question from Tom Fornelli, White Sox. He wants to know, Treasy, as somebody who will be 40 years old one day himself, and wow, I can't believe Tom's not 40. I feel good about how good I look compared to Tom.
I think that's a lie. I think he's lying when he says
He's
that.
lying, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're better than Tom. We're older.
I feel like he's 47. He acts like
damn.
he's 47.
Anyway, he wants to know, how close to death do you feel right now?
So somehow I've never felt closer to death, nor have I ever felt more alive. So I think it's one of those things when it's kind of knocking on your door, you really appreciate life much more. And so I think I'm at that point, and hopefully this is just kind of the midpoint. And but you never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
You never know if my Sox Summer is going to try and drown you in a hot tub for answering a question poorly.
That's my style.
Well, that's
That is my style. I give you that.
That's your bit right there. All right, the next question is from Zach Byrne. Zach wants to know, which White Sox team wins a bench-clearing brawl? This current team or the 1993 team, which featured
This is
Ivan
not a
Calderon,
question.
Bo
This is not
Jackson,
even a
Carlton
question.
Fisk, Carco, Dan Pasco, and George Bell.
Not a question.
Imagine you get by most of those guys. Bo Jackson will shoot you with a bow and arrow.
Like that team, I mean, I put that team against most Bears teams.
I was just going to say, what Bears team's ass won't they whoop besides 85? Like, I'm trying to think. Like, when he was listing out all the names, I'm like, I can't believe there was that group of goons all together right there. Unbelievable.
Did Bo like somebody, or did Bo get bit in the Rangers fan? Right.
I don't know.
Dr. Feelgood said Karkovice is a cannibal, so that's adding to that.
And Karkovice doesn't have to worry about his face getting fucked up, so he's just like, he just goes in cold for
Yeah, I think this one's obvious. We got too many smiley, nice guys on our team right here. We don't got those guys. Those are some brutes, man.
Dan Pasco's arms are still the size of my legs. And I have big legs, so I think he's a mess.
Yeah, I actually thought about that too. Like, if this is the question right now them fighting, and I still think it's the
The old man would whoop their ass. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Bo wouldn't even be at the start of the fight. He'd be in the back picking people off with fucking homemade arrows.
He's even not signing their autographs.
Yeah. And you take those back.
You guys are wrong, man. You're all wrong. All right, the next question is from Jose Munoz, which Jose did a video question, which we really appreciate. Those come through nice and easy. They're quick. Very good. So his question is this: in honor of 40th birthday for Treasy, if you had to drink one beer, but you could only drink it in the 40-ounce bottle format, what beer would it be? So you can't drink it in cans, no regular bottles, only fucking 40-ounce bottle of it.
So I thought about this a little bit, right? Because
initially I was like, well, what beer could I drink fairly quickly and not get warm in like a 40-ounce style? And my mind goes to like Miller Lite or like a Miller High Life or something.
Ew.
But if it's going to be a 40, and I'm going to take myself back to my youth, now that I'm 40, you want to reminisce about the early days of your drinking. It's got to be Red Dog. It's got to be Red Dog 40s. Like, do they make Red Dog 40s?
I'm sure they do.
Because I'm gonna go to some shady neighborhoods. I'm gonna go to a liquor store next to a currency exchange and find a Red Dog 40.
How the fuck can all these great restaurants be going out of business and Red Dog's still in business? How is that possible?
It's Miller.
I know, but how can they still make that? Why would you bother making that anymore?
hey,
They don't make it a lot, but I know they can get them up on the
But
north side.
takeout business is still alive, right? It's still
Vibrant.
thriving.
Yeah.
That's a takeout. You're not drinking that in a bar. You're drinking that in an alley.
There's a place that you can get it at a bar, though. Because when I went to look it up, because I tried to find it for when they had the 90s weekend,
Oh yeah,
I was going to get that, mix in with the Rolling Rock and all the good shit. Ice House from Plank Road Brewery. Yeah. They still is a bar that sells them for like $3 a can. And I think the closest place they can get them is up closer to Wisconsin, which makes sense. But I know they make 40s of Red Dog because I have a Red Dog football jersey, vintage one, that says 40 ounce on the back. So they do make 40 ounces of the Red
And that's probably brand new. So
No, that's funny.
All right, my socks over. How about you? What 40 ounce do you drink?
If I'm gonna, I'm gonna pick a beer that I wish was still around, is no longer exists, and it's gonna be the Dry Schwartz, because even as it got warmer, it would still be okay to like drink it. I could pound it through it, so because it's more of a porter type taste and feel. So I would go with that.
Yeah, I mean,
Now it's from our good friend Vader Brown.
R.I.P.
All right, we drank him out of business.
We did,
We're
yeah.
getting close to doing the Goose Island too, so make sure you guys
Enjoy it
drink
while you
all
can.
the Goose Island you can, because we're very close to drinking them out of business.
That's absolutely true. My mind was right where your mind was, my sucks. I mean, what beer could I drink warm? Because I don't drink fast enough to like get through a 40 where it's all still cold.
Yep.
And I thought, what's the ultimate warm beer that I would drink? It's absolutely room temperature is Miller Lite. Because it has no taste or very little taste. I can drink that. I think I could drink that shit warm. I might be able to drink it as warm as my coffee. We might have to try this out. I think I could probably drink it down as warm as my coffee. So I'll go Miller Lite in a 40.
I'm going to throw something out real quick because we love Goose Island. And what I would ask them is if they ever decided, hey, maybe we should make Bourbon County Stout in 40-ounce fashion.
I don't know.
We'd be happy to be the taste testers of that. If you want to just send us like a case of 40-ounce Bourbon County Stouts,
Yes.
all different variations, we're happy to go through all of them for you. We'll do that.
They need a good like drinking stout, and I think that's something that they're missing in their whole repertoire, and that's where the 108 comes in. We need a 108 stout. We just need that. Make it happen. I know nobody from Goose watches this, so make us a 108 stout.
They're the sponsor, but they don't give a shit about this show.
This is just shut him up.
Take this beer and get the hell out of here. All right, the next question is from Bennett Carroll. And Bennett Carroll says, if you could have one non-player from the White Sox org into the Sunday soap, who's it going to be?
I think we all have the same answer.
Go for it.
It's Brooks.
Oh,
It's Brooks because and the reason why it's Brooks is like I think like if we could get like an unfiltered Mike Downey, that would be fantastic.
he's too corporate.
But he's not so far in his career where he could say
Yeah.
F it. Brooks is. Plus Brooks has all the dirt on the 90s Bulls.
Yes!
He's got so many stories.
We got Jordan stories.
We got Brooks in here. Well, the one funny thing is Brooks is bigger than all of them. So he would tower over him. But also, he would just get like 4 or 5 gooses in him. And then we start hearing about all this shit that MJ don't want you to hear about on The Last Dance.
The best thing Brooks ever said to me, I feel like, was, do you want the real story or the story that I will tell on the podcast? And I said, I would rather have the real story, and then I will not ask the question for the podcast. Because it was definitely worth it. And it just, yeah. I would go with Brooks, too. Downey was my first thought. And then somebody else that will not be mentioned. But both of those guys, they still need to work. Brooks doesn't give a shit. You're flawless, Elephant.
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% Brooks. The 30 minutes we spent with Brooks before we pressed record are some of the most eye-opening 30 minutes I think we've ever had talking about the White Sox.
It was awesome. And the
incredible.
Bulls.
And the Bulls, too. Yeah, exactly.
It was also awesome when he yelled, "Let's go!" And he said, "Hey, why don't you be quiet for 30 seconds while we intro this podcast? I need another drink. Give me a non-heater." So I don't think. No, give me
That's warm. Give me that one back.
I'm a little. I
Back
don't
here.
know. Let's see about that.
All
I
right, here
wanted
you
to
go.
see if you could drink it in 44 minutes.
Yeah, right. Exactly. All this talk about warm 40s and shit.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, the next question is from Ken W. And it's just for Treasy. He said, Treasy, would you rather call Jose Canseco from his Vegas car wash to play right field right now or continue with Nomar Mazara? Happy 50th, he says.
No.
What a jag bag.
What a troll.
First of all, go fuck yourself. But I would rather call Jose Canseco than do pretty much anything. So if I'm going to call him and he's actually going to come play for the Sox, even better. But yeah, I would 100% take Canseco over Mazzaro right now. In fact, I would take Canseco over any right fielder right now.
Canseco now?
Yeah,
Now?
like 57-year-old Canseco, whatever he is. I want him in the right field. I'm fine with it. Luis Robert can cover his area.
I want to say I feel like Jose Canseco's chances of hitting a home run now are still better than Mazar's.
I would agree with that.
Now that I've talked shit, Mazar is going to hit 2 home runs.
That's fine. I hope so.
And Canseco would still cheat. Like, he would have an aluminum bat just like covered with something that makes it look like it's wood.
The only guy to increase hat sizes during the season.
He'd have this like wood-ish looking bat. He'd get up there and then you'd hear bing.
Classic Canseco.
Yeah, another Cuban. Why not another Cuban?
All right, the next question is from John Carney. John Carney wants to know, does the Braves' much improved defense in 2020 change how you look at 2021? Do you move Andrew Vaughn to DH? Do you try to convert Andrew Vaughn to a left fielder and move Eloy to DH? Does the fact that a Braves playing great on defense mean that he's probably going to stay there for long term and you might do something different?
Are we flush at DH? Because I feel like we just throw E5 into the sun. Like, I think this is an easy call. So, I mean, I keep Abreu first and Vaughn DHs. I'm good.
Can we trade Vaughn for a starting pitcher instead of trading the starting pitcher for a starting pitcher?
So this is an
That's one of
interesting
them.
discussion here because you see this come up a lot in Sox Twitter, and people don't want to trade Vaughn. And I don't really want to trade Vaughn either. I think he'll end up being a good hitter. The only problem is, like, first baseman that can hit, there's lots of them. And that's kind of the reason why people were a little down on the Abreu contract extension. It's also why teams acquiring talent wouldn't really care that much about getting an Andrew Vaughn. I mean, he's good, don't get me wrong, but he's not really a big piece for another team.
Yeah.
They think they could find a first baseman that's pretty good.
Well, think about it. Today, we saw Mitch Moreland go to the Padres for Gordon Shumway and Willie Tanner. So, it's not like he went very well.
It's a small market. Yeah.
Gordon Shumway. Oh. You got it. Woo, yes. You haven't opened those cards.
All right, so, so the next question is from Sultan of SWAT. Sultan of SWAT wants to know, there's rumors that the postseason is going to be at a neutral site.
Oh.
What do you guys think about this? My Sox Summer, you want to start?
I mean, hopefully you listened to the podcast where I think I yelled about it. I didn't re-listen to that part, but I listened to some of it. I hate it. I think it's stupid. And I agree with Aaron Judge. It's like it's against the reason that you actually do well in the season. You should be rewarded for being a number one team. You shouldn't get to go to a neutral site based on this thing. Now, White Sox are not that good at home. So they had. Oh, are they that good? They weren't good at home for a while.
Then they went on a big run.
They went on a big run. Now, so when we play shitty teams at home,
You want a heater or you want?
I'm just under the assumption that we're not going to play a shitty team in the playoffs. So maybe being at home won't be. I don't know. I don't like it. That's all I have to say. And I don't think Texas deserves it. Because fuck Texas, not just because of you, Sal, but kind of because of you.
That was very succinct. Treasy, you're up there.
Yeah,
So-
I did a good job.
I do like what you're saying about
Thank
the
you for pointing that out.
the home field advantage because I think a lot of people listen to and say like, oh well, there's no fans, so what home field advantage is there, right? But like teams are built for their park,
Yes.
right? You know, like the Yankees have a very small park, so they build a team for that. The Sox have a small park. That's why everyone that they try and get to pitch for the Sox throws a shitload of ground balls, right? Throwing a shitload of ground balls with Eloy Jimenez in left, and I love Tim Anderson, but Tim Anderson at third and injured Makata, or Tim Anderson short, injured Makata at third. Like, that's not great in a gigantic ballpark. So if one of the neutral sites is way bigger than Comiskey and we had got home field advantage, then I'd be mad about it. But we're not going to have home field advantage, so I love it.
I mean, this thing's all about money, and the thing is, they're trying to keep the postseason from being canceled, delayed, any goofy shit. Also, I like the idea of the games being played in better weather. Like a postseason game when it's 32 degrees at Sox Park is horrible. Who wants to play in that? Who wants to watch people play in that? It's much better if you're playing in a better climate, and it's better baseball. The athletes, yeah, exactly. The athletes are going to look great. That's kind of what you want to see. So I have no problem with it. I mean, ideally, I would like someday the season to start a little later and finish earlier and have us get these playoff games done before it's football weather. I mean, I think ideally that's the best option eventually, but we're not quite there.
You're working towards that doubleheader, 7-inning doubleheader.
That's damn right.
That's what we
You're
need.
damn
That's what we
right.
need. Let's get it closer. I agree with that. I don't agree with neutral sites for this shit. You guys are wrong. Fucking
All right. Next
I was
question.
with you.
Next question. You're still fucked. He doesn't care.
You said at the end, you're not gonna have a video, man. So fuck it. I don't care.
All right, the next question is from Luke Taylor. And he says, this is birthday theme. He said, if you had to be surprised by one White Sox Twitter personality jumping on a cake for your birthday, who would it be?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Can I go first?
Yeah.
There's some risk in this, but I think I'd choose Billy Wires. Now, he might be completely fucking naked, and now that would not be good, but if he at least covered up his genitalia, I think that would be a lot of fun. He would be inspired. He'd come flying out of there. It would be good times. If he had nothing covering his penis, we got some problems. All right, we got some problems.
I'm gonna toe the line of getting banned too right here. A guy that we all know likes to party and have a good time. He also is not afraid of showing skin. Steve Stone, baby. Right the fuck out that cake. He's used to it. He knows how to party. He's kept himself in really good shape. He's got his fastball if you're into Steve Stone. And so yeah, I think he could definitely do that for you.
Oh man. That's
So Billy Wires, Steve Stone.
I think those are two good choices. I think.
So you know what? I'm gonna have to go with some close friends here. One has left Twitter, so I think this could be his triumphant return.
Oh, I like this.
But I want Kieran and Zach to jump out of my cake. Together. Both mustachios.
You want them holding hands as they jump through, or
You know
not?
what? It's up to them. I want to be surprised.
I mean, okay, I think that's the proper way to play that.
They are in fabulous shape. They can't jump out of the cake for you. I think you made the right call.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. All
So
right.
that's a hard one to go against.
And the final question, the Sunday Soaks final question is from Johan Dobrinsky. He wants to know, 20 years ago, what was in the CD player in your car? And did you have, I can't even read what I wrote. Do you have he wants to know.
Well, you have a system.
Yeah, did you have the bass
Did you
exploding out of the trunk?
bumpers?
And did you have the CD changer that was set up? And
Do you want to go first, or do you want to go last and cap it off?
yeah, you finish. You finish.
I'll finish.
I'll start it off.
Second.
I'll start it off because I'm good at the
I can't
beginning.
believe it's my birthday and you guys are
I'm
asking
gonna
me to finish.
I want you to finish. 20 years
the
ago,
worst massage ever.
20 years ago, I lived
You
out
pull, I
west.
suck. Is there any money in it for me?
Jesus.
I was really hoping I'd hear a Caddyshack 2 reference.
It's getting corny. 20 years ago, I was on the West Coast. I don't know if you guys know, but I used to live out west.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was in Arizona.
All right. Sounds good.
So one of the purchases I made before I drove all the way from Sterling, Illinois to Phoenix, Arizona was an Alpine stereo CD player. You could take the face off, but also you can have it come out and it would rotate. So just in case. I never used that feature, but it was a really good selling point. Alpine was definitely the brand to buy. Easy E told me I needed to do that, so that's why I had it. Now, I did not upgrade my stereo system because I did not have enough money to do that and move to Arizona. But the CD that I would play the most in 2000 was more than likely Changing the Game by Lucky Boys Confusion. And that was probably the biggest one that I listened to. The local guys, the Lucky Boys.
I'm glad you gave a terrible answer.
It's a question.
All right, so
I can't lie.
Oh, no, I
I
love it. I love it.
no, I want you to tell you the truth. All right, so
fucking hate you.
20 years ago, I was 20. I was 22, but I was already an adult. I wasn't sleeping on people's couches like my sex summer, and Tracy was still in college. So I was the only one working a real job and doing real adult shit. So yes, I did have a good system. No, I was not into the big fucking speakers in your trunk and bumping and all this shit. I was probably listening to 90s alternative. I probably had Nirvana Unplugged and shit like that rolling through my my CD player in my car. So I had a job. I mean, these guys, I mean, Tracy's in college. My sex was a bum. I mean, like, I had a real job. Like, I was a fucking adult. Of course I had a good system.
Bad answer. You didn't have a job. I didn't have a job.
I didn't have a job. I was asking.
I mean, I was looking for a job.
I
wasn't like
I
I
was listening.
I'm
I was
just,
looking and listening.
my sex summer.
Just left.
My sex summer. I love you, my brother. I'm just saying we were in different points of our lives at 22, all right? We were doing different shit. That's all.
Well, I was a year
Still
older.
my boy.
Really older. I left the job to go out there.
I believe you.
I would have the worst job ever. I probably would have knocked up some rock Sterling and never left. Just saying, Like it wouldn't have been a good swing, so I did the right thing. You know,
The alternate My Sex Summer Timeline.
right?
Teresa, want to close this up?
I'll do my best. So first of all, I did not have a CD player. So I had I was driving a 1985 or 86 Ford was it? Yeah, Crown
Estiva?
Victoria.
Oh,
It was a boat. It was an absolute boat, but it had tape player. So I'd make my own tapes, put them in here. And so at this time, I'm listening to the three distinct types of music at this point. So one is anything from the Minnesota scene. So like Husker Du, Replacements, Soul Asylum, that whole bit.
Nice.
Two, I'm working at Victory Records, so I have access to just tons of hardcore punk. So I'm listening to Snapcase, Hatebreed, Earth Crisis, that kind of stuff. And then three, this is when I'm just starting to really get into like stoner rock stuff. So I'm listening to like Sleep's Holy Mountain, all the Caius albums, and then a lot of Black Sabbath. So those are kind of the things I'm listening to. And funny story about that Crown Vic. So I was then at one point I was working at a bank, and me and Polish with Extra Onions worked there together, and we would take the Orange Line home. And I'd park right by the Orange Line on the Ashland stop right over there. And we're walking to my car, and like two car full of gangbangers are flying down the street. One hits the other one. It spins and goes directly sideways, just driving like 75 miles per hour sideways, and just T-bones my car up onto a curb. And I got no money from them for this because they blamed it on the other car, but they gave a description of the other car that was total bullshit. Like a red car hit this car, and they're like, it was like a gray Cadillac. And I was just like, well, fuck me then, I guess.
I mean, stop snitching. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. I mean, you saw the whole thing. I mean, you know what color the car was. The funny part of the story is that you're talking with gangbangers. It's like, hey guys,
I'm not
want to help
talking
me out here a little bit?
It's not like they gave the description to me. I saw it.
Are you sure they were gangbangers and they stuck around? Or that's like, okay, let's talk to the
One
cops.
question about this: was it you and Polish walking back to the car
Yes.
together? How hard was Polish laughing through all this?
He was
He had to be bent over, like in tears, laughing about this.
He was
shit.
Probably been
first.
over for other reasons.
he was laughing very hard at first. But once he realized that we were going to be speaking with the police, and I won't even tell the affiliation, but some gang members, he sobered up from that real quick. Yeah, that was the worst part. I walked the rest of the way.
Little bullshit.
Could have gotten the 35. Got closer.
All right, so that's it for
That's
the
it.
Sunday Soap. Thanks for joining us.
Happy
Let's go get a White
birthday,
Sox winner
Teresa.
today. Yeah, happy birthday, baby. High five this shit. I'm gonna shut it off right now.
We didn't have
We're
a
gonna
train
get back to
today.
drinking. No train. Yeah, it's true. Trainless day.
Dr. Feelgood, one medical question. What is the medical term for a piss boner that you get in the morning? Is there a medical term for that?
Yeah, it's called cleaning up the bathroom floor.
Nice.
And what is private? Hey, you show